Welcome to Think Enriched with Amy Robles. This is the podcast made for you, the smart, ambitious woman. Think Enriched is the show to help you think bigger, create your business you love, and keep your family first. We know when you enrich a woman's life, you help her entire circle of influence. Now here's your host, Amy Robles.
Hey, welcome back. I'm delighted to have you here with us. You know, we've had some real growth in our audience, and I want to welcome the new listeners to this show. There are things that you, the longtime listener, may not know about me and how this show became what it is. And so in an invitation to you, my new friends today, and those listening in the future, we're going to take a moment on this episode to just let you in. Okay, we're back behind the scenes now. How do you feel? You with me? Okay, let's go. My purpose is simple. I see smart, ambitious women who rarely think about themselves. And what do they spend their time thinking about? They're thinking about their family's needs, aging parents, work responsibilities, the community, and more. And that stress can fill our minds and consume our lives. These women, like us, have forgotten to think about and take care of themselves. I've worked in marketing and sales for years, and so those are topics that we address on the show, but this is not your regular sales kind of show. This podcast, Think Enriched, is the place for smart, ambitious women. We come together to share, enjoy a little bit of self-care, to laugh, to be kinder to ourselves. Just a quick reminder sure helps us in that department. And then we learn new strategies for success and go and do tremendous good in the world. It is that simple. Twice a week, I share a show, so it's here when and where you need it. And let me tell you a little bit about me and what's going on and why this is so important. As a child, our family lived hand to mouth, and I didn't even know that was unusual. My mom had a beauty shop in our house, and she would work all day and earn the money. Then we would take the checks after I was done with school, load up in the car, and we'd go to a little tiny grocery store, a teeny tiny mom and pop shop, and they would accept the two-party checks, and they did a lot of things that probably weren't smart big business practices, but this one store just held up a whole lot of people struggling with money. And that's the way that we ate. And so dad's paychecks would cover the big bills, but anything that happened in the month, my mom would work and make sure that we were able to achieve that and be able to have what we needed. I didn't realize how tricky that was. I really didn't realize how much that was unusual. And so when I started the blog a few years ago, it started out completely as a money management blog. These were all strategies that my family never dared talk about and things that we never addressed. And it was really hard to change all of this mentality that I had about money and how much it was to grow through. And so you can see in the show episodes, early, we just started talking a lot about money managed strategies, different things that were working. And so as my own journey has progressed, so has the show. And it's so interesting to see that people that listened in the early days, they don't listen as much, but the people that have come recently and have joined into the show are just so into it because they connect on a different level. It's a little bit deeper and it's a much more personal connection. It's really, really fun to do this. You know, this is the second version that I've done of a podcast. The first show I made was tricky and wasn't the right fit. And I went through a lot of different versions trying to figure out the right thing. So I switched it up and focused and started here with Think Enriched and have just gone through this completely. You know, I made a lot of mistakes and it's been fun just seeing where I am and how it's moving forward. The best thing about this whole experience are these relationships that I've made with people, and I've been able to talk to them for, weeks and then months and years, and then be able to see them in person and really get to know them. And it's amazing that who they are online is who they are. And there wasn't that weirdness. You always hear about, people are a fraud or it's a bad situation. I'm sure there's some out there, but my experience hasn't been like that at all. And so what is the vision for this podcast? In life where we are, we see women that are just so burnt out. They are starving. Some are starving physically. Some are starving mentally. They haven't had a challenge in a long time. And some women are just starving so emotionally, and their soul and their spirit is just struggling. I want to take the army of burnt out women walking like zombies, the single moms just trying to hold it together, single women that have to work 2 jobs just to be able to support themselves in rising crazy housing prices and the weird economy that we're in right now. And if they're married or gay or straight or otherwise, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is there's so much of this as a responsibility in this role to be the nurturer and the caretaker and take the family moving forward. And this isn't just for moms raising children. This is for women who have aging parents. Some of these women have family needs that are so unusual that there's no guide. There's no generation and generations of women have done it this way. It's such an interesting time that we live in, and the family dynamic has changed. And so we really have to look at that and find better ways and help these women take care of themselves. I see this being the exclusive place, the podcast for smart, ambitious, kind women to come together. CEOs and power moms and super ambitious single women have way more in common than they realize. When you're managing multiple projects and people and different needs, and you see all of that and you're taking into these kind of concepts have the same principles over and over to implement in your own life. This is a big one. I just want to create the system so that you personally can take these steps to conquer that little shoulder self-critic. Oh my word, we all have one of those. And sometimes she is just ruthless. And we've got to figure out a way to make sure that we can say, you know what? Stop. Enough of that. That is not helping. This is what I'm going to do. As smart, ambitious women, and we're working and taking care of and doing so many things, we work so hard to avoid failing others that if we're not careful, we can see how we're just really stumbling and we can fail ourselves. And that just breaks my heart. We cannot keep doing this to ourselves. I imagine this group of powerful, beautiful, strong women that have met for weeks and months at a time online. And then one day when we finally come together for our retreat or our experience and we meet in person at this power event, we learn business strategies and networking skills, keeping your vision fresh, how to support other women, how to work together, trusting your intuition and your emotions at the same time. There's not a business conference that I know of that meets the needs of women. A few generations back, feminist women were trying to fit in the man's world. And I just think that's crap. Our world is different. We lead, we guide, and we nurture. We need to make sure that we see all of those things in our conversations and how we're growing. And this isn't about just bringing home the bacon like it was before. It's way more than that. I think so many times we put our feelings and emotions to the side, but it doesn't make you weak to have feelings and emotions in what you're working on. It actually adds passion. Your feelings and your emotions can increase the energy, give you momentum and power, and stay true on what is important. And that is a way that you can inspire and empower those around you. And we don't tap into that nearly enough. These are all different big things I want to dig into and help and find ways and guide and just focus on doing what's right for you as yourself so you can feel better and fulfilled to be able to give more to the world around you. The vision that I have in my heart is big. It's meaty. It's really a lot. And we're going to be going through a lot of different steps to reach so many women and just create powerful women who don't have to change who they are, but they have to accept themselves and start to become more of who they are. That's why this show is so crazy important to me, and why I'm so grateful to have you here and to learn from you. People ask, well, okay, so how does family fit into this for you? Well, family is most important to me. Right now, my siblings are in different parts of the world, and like any family, you go a while and you don't talk enough, and you need to check in and how's things going on. And we have our own struggles. I love them dearly, but I don't spend enough time with them. Military family is another element of our life, and it feels like as a military family, half the time we're dual parents working together in harmony, and half the time I'm single parenting. And it's really hard, not on me, just me, because I keep the load going and be there for my kid and be 2 steps ahead and make sure things are going forward. But also for him, he's gone so much and he misses tiny moments that I just overlook. And so there's this really interesting dynamic about understanding what is the family and understanding how our priorities might change for a couple of months, because this is the right thing for us to do to really build up and kind of pull in and just strengthen and support and love one another. That's where it's at for me. When you have your own home and your place where you can decide and what's going to work, and these are the rules, and make things go well for you, that's real happiness. I've been married 12 years and we still have yet to live in our own home. That's something that's really surprised me. I thought for sure you grow up, you get married, you settle down, you have your house, and there you go. And you're there until you die. But that I can see how our parents and couple generations lived before is so different than how it is now. And what we're going through, trying to figure out what's going to work, is a real challenge. Living a good quality life right now is so tricky. And I just want to find ways that we can learn and make home, whatever home is right now for you, be a little bit more of something that adds to your happiness and brings you peace and gives you a place to step back and relax and take it all in. When you get started in this online business space, you just hear people about, it's all about the hustle and grind. You've got to go, it's all about this. You've got to be doing this. You really have to be working on this. And this has been a really big challenge for me, is finding that balance between working and ideas and sitting at the computer and typing and just sharing everything that I can and connecting. And my personality is, I love to jump in the pool and then be like, whew, whatever that decision is, I just jump in. I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. I'm going to do it. And I go in, and then after I'm in for a few seconds, I'm like, whoa, that was a big decision. I don't know if I've thought it all through. It felt right. I really like the way that this is going, so I'm going to keep with it. And that's kind of been the way that I handle most of life is, yeah, this is good. I'm in. Do it. And like, oh, wow, this is a real time commitment. I got to do that. And so finding the balance for me has been a real challenge to figure this out. Being mom and wife are very most top priority for me, but still being able to give to this business is a very important thing to me. And so finding that has been a little bit stressful, trying to figure it out. And I can see how right now I have opportunity to grow and progress. I just need things to move forward just a little bit before I can do the next couple of steps to make that advance. I know when you get into business, it seems like this should just work naturally. You know what you want, and there you go, and the next step. And so it's working to the next step and then moving forward, and then working to the next step and working through that. That's the whole thing. So one of the biggest challenges for me trying to figure out that hustle and grind mentality that people tell you is so important. It's so obnoxious. I just roll my eyes and they say, you got to be working, you got to be grinding. It's ridiculous. Trying to figure out how to turn off my mind to business just doesn't seem to work, because something in my regular life will apply to the business. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I got to talk about that. I got to remember that and make a note or something or mention that, and vice versa. And so I can easily get obsessed and just want to do more and more and more working on the business instead of actually cutting it off, being done and focused. That's been one of the biggest challenges for me. This is hard to say, but the truth is there was one point where every date night was talking about, well, what about this about the business? We could take this and then go in this direction. And what about this? My husband's super, super supportive. And he said to me, hun, I can't deal with talking about this all the time. I need you, not the business right now. And I didn't even realize that I was talking about it all the time. And I felt so bad. At first, it just took me off guard. Like, what? But as an entrepreneur working from home, you don't have the social outlet. You don't have someone to converse and discuss different business topics with. I had to find a mentor or a coach or a mastermind, a business colleague that I can just check in with. How's it going? What are you doing? What are you working on? And that's been a really big part of it for me, is figuring that part out. So having those friends, because turning it off, the mental process, turning that off is as important, maybe even more so, than keeping those business ideas going and flowing and flowing. You turn it off and you focus on other things. Then when you come back, your mind is fresh. You feel good and you're ready to take on the next thing. And so that's a really important process in all of this. I've noticed that I've had to just physically remind myself, okay, right now I'm helping my daughter with her homework. It's time to be there. Don't touch the phone. Don't do anything. You're focused on the homework. Be here. Amy, you got to be here right now in the moment. I have to physically, in my mind, mentally tell myself, make sure that I am there in the moment. And I think that's something we can so easily suffer from, is this crazy part of escapism, that we have distraction after distraction. And if it's not what's new on Netflix, and then it's this is going on right now in our lives, and check the phone, and then this is happening. There's so many things that we can just escape, and then we escape for a few more minutes, then we escape, and then we escape again, and we're not doing anything. We're not productive. And that's really, really hard and even dangerous to not only ourselves, but our top quality relationships. We want to make sure that we're taking care of them. So if you and I were to sit down and have a conversation, it wouldn't be very serious. We'd sit down and we'd talk and we'd laugh and get to know each other a little bit. And it seems like all of my best quality, wonderful friends, these smart, ambitious women that I want to spend time with, that are so, so busy and involved in their life. And I've got a full plate too, that we have to plan 2 and 3 weeks in advance just to find a way to sit down and have, just get together for lunch or whatever it is. But we would sit down, have lunch, and we'd talk and laugh our guts out for a good 20, 30 minutes, right? And then I can't help it. I'm going to ask about how you are. And always happens in different ways, but it's just getting down a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. And for me, as a friend, as a family member, as a person, I want to know high level what's happening on the outside, but then I really need to know, how are you on the inside? What are you learning? Where are you growing? And so it's very, I would say it's almost common that when we have lunch dates or getting together with friends and different things, these conversations, that to sit down would start with total fun, crazy laughter and end up with tears and hug and this emotion. And to me, that is the most fun experience ever. My favorite thing to do. In fact, it's always been like this. When I was 14 years old and went into this new church class and you had to introduce yourself and do a spotlight, it was always asking all these questions. It was like 3 pages, so many different things. This teacher was so thoughtful and really wanted us to magnify who we are. And what was my most favorite thing to do? I just wanted to spend one day with friends, sitting down, talking and getting to know each other. And as she was telling the class, she said, she stopped cold and looked at the class and said, "That is so neat." And I never thought of that as so neat. I thought everyone felt like that. And so it's so interesting to see how talents and abilities come out in different ways. It makes sense that I would have a podcast and that I interview people and learn from them and sharing experiences, because there's the high level, what's happening on the outside of your life, but then there's also what's happening in your heart. Where are you? What's going on? How are you growing? How are you progressing? That's a big part of what I would do if we were going to sit down and have a good evening together. Also, I got to tell you, I am down for a good game night. If you have board games that you love to play, if I used to be big time in Scrabble and then Word with Friends, and lately it's been I play a couple of rounds of Disney's Bejeweled, earning all the little things. I feel stupid even saying it out loud, but that's kind of my brain feels like lasagna. I'm going to tune out and let's focus on something else, right? We all have our own little thing, our own distraction, but game night is one of my favorite things to do. I also love to play with markers, do some hand lettering, and I think it's my love for color that I'm always discovering and buying new Sharpies and buying those big packs of Crayola markers. And oh my gosh, this one has the 10s instead of 8. And this one has neon colors. And I love that, just discovering with color. And part of that is doing makeup. I love cosmetics. I love figuring out what's good for the skin and how does that work? And what about this blending technique? It's so fun to try new looks. YouTube is so much fun just doing these. I feel really good when I feel like I've taken care of myself and finished and putting my best face forward. I think that's another reason why makeup has been such a big part of just my personality, who I am. You know, I mentioned earlier, my mom had a beauty shop in our basement, and doing hair has always just been part of who we are. I didn't know that it was weird to have multiple curling irons and blow dryers and products available at any time. And now I can see, like, yeah, that's nuts. My poor husband, when we got married, must have been like, what the heck? Braiding hair is so much fun. I love looking on Instagram and YouTube's and finding different kinds of hairstyles and trying that. I braid very slow, but I love to do it. And so usually on the weekends, when we have a little more time, my daughter will sit down and watch something on the TV, and then I can just take time and just really braid and do some pretty intricate and fun things. And I'm getting better, but those kind of things, that's what stuff we would just talk about, girl talk, and where it would be. So yeah, that's a lot about me. That's probably more about me than I've talked about since we've started this whole show. And that's, well over 100 episodes now. So I do this podcast. So every Monday you have that 5-minute Monday maxim just a really great shot in the arm of energy and yes, girl, you can do it. Yes. You just feel so good when somebody says that to you or when they say, man, you're a star. Shine on. I love that. Yes, clearly, my love language is words of affirmation. That just seems to be the right thing. You tell me and you see things. It just, I could go with just that positive energy, just those powerful words. Because I understand a podcast is here for you when you need it, wherever you are in the whole planet. Because, girl, let's be real. Those moments you need a podcast just show up. We've all had moments like when you're focusing on the work project all day long and you're in it so intently that you don't even realize 6 hours has passed and you've still got a lot left to do. And your brain feels like mush afterwards. That's when you need a podcast. I want you to be able to pop it in, learn some more, be able to connect and laugh and find a way to really learn more. Also, maybe you're driving. You could have a moment when you're driving and pretending that you are keeping calm and smiling on the outside, even though your kids are screaming nonstop. Oh my gosh. And they say the most annoying things when they're screaming. Why is that? Oh! But on the outside, you're smiling and pretending everything's okay. This is just a regular weekday at our house. We're just fine. We put up with so much. It's crazy. Maybe you need a podcast right after you're feeling so stinking low after a day when it went bad. So bad. Or maybe you're listening to a podcast. You need that right there. You just need a laugh. You're just like, man, I just need to laugh and have a break for a few minutes. That's what's so great about having a podcast. Maybe you're trying to remember the last time you had a girls' night and you need some social time where you're not answering as mama, or you're not answering as the boss, or you're not the teacher of the classroom, or you're not the spouse. You are simply you, and you answer questions by your first name. Oh my goodness, doesn't that sound delicious? Such refreshment. Maybe you need a podcast when you are just wanting to have a conversation that is real and makes you feel good. Just because. It's so crazy to me. One of the things that drives me crazy in this world is we are in a position where we could go through an entire day and not speak a word to another human. It's gross. I hate that. That is not healthy. I don't care if you're an introvert. There's still times where you need to communicate with other people. It's so important. But we can put on our headphones. We can completely tune out the world, do what we got to do. And that is not healthy. I'm genuinely concerned about this. Maybe you need a podcast just when you wish a good friend would just pop right in right now and just cheer you on. Oh my gosh, you're doing so good. Nobody's told you that in the past couple of weeks. Girl, I love it. You are doing it. You are handling your business. Man, that's why I want this podcast to be here. You know, we've all felt like one of these situations at some point. And for a long time, I just thought I was super extra needy. I'm not needy. You are not needy. We are smart, ambitious, and kind. Those specific qualities make us powerful. But being a powerful woman does not mean that you are a superhero. Girl, none of us are a superhero. The reason I make this podcast is this: because you deserve to love yourself right now. You need to give yourself your best. Even though you don't think you have time, and especially when you don't think you are worthy of it. Your self-care is not selfish. When you fill your own cup up, you have more to give. And the world needs you at your best. And that's why I put so much to craft and to share different podcast episodes each week. I'm there for you. I understand how lonely it can be to support all those around you and still feel so empty. This is something no one wants to talk about, and yet this is something we can do something about right now. I want to give you a little bit of background on this show, okay? Let me be real. It takes me at least 1 hour to make a 5-minute episode, your Monday maxim of Think Enriched. On these longer episodes, it can take me up to 8 to 10 hours of behind-the-scenes work. I don't have a team. It's me. I do the research. I dig in and find out all I can before I ever get on the mic. And I record it, and then sometimes I have to re-record it, and I re-record it to make sure it's smooth. And then after I feel like it's smooth, then I make edits and do all the post-production. After post-production, then it's the show notes, it's the graphics, it's sharing with others, it's answering questions, connecting with your audience. It's a whole thing. Look, I want this show to be fun, but I wanted a polished, professional show too. And I put all of this extra work and all these details and try to make it as high quality as possible because I want you to feel confident, cared for. I want you to feel secure and successful. And girl, I want you to feel so sexy right now. Because when you feel good on the inside, it radiates in everything you do. Can you imagine if all the smart, ambitious, kind women in the world felt this way? We would change the world. And together, working together, we can change the world. So I'm doing something a little different. I've set up a page on Patreon where you can be a contributing member of the show. You can make a donation as simple as $5 a month so you can add to the quality and professionalism of this show, right? You have a decision to make here. You can just move on and forget this moment. Nothing will happen. Things will probably remain exactly the same as they have been in your life. You know, nothing happens unless you decide to make it happen. Or you can decide and do something different. You can contribute and become a part of this movement. You can help move this force of powerful women forward. When you become a contributor, you'll be able to receive your own little bit of swag. You'll be able to receive messages from me. You'll be first to know when we get together in real life. You'll have a chance to connect with others in the group, learn and work together and do even more good in the world. I'm so excited about where this is headed. I just get chills talking about it. You know, when you contribute to the show, you'll be sharing part of the quality and consistency that other people are counting on. You are becoming part of the team. Your insight will help shape the show for others who need it. And I'm not just saying words here. I mean, seriously, once a month, I'm planning a meeting for all those who are these contributors to share ideas, to talk, to ask questions, get a little bit of insight for coaching and different ideas on how to progress on your business. This is a way where I can help you personally, and you don't have to do the coaching if that's not the right fit for you at this time. So when you contribute, you'll be able to help keep the podcast free. We'll be able to keep the podcast out there, out in the world for any other person who is really needing it right now. You are literally paying it forward. I'm going to leave this link in the show notes so you can click right on that. Move forward and let's connect on an even deeper personal level. I love the smart, ambitious women who are listening to this. If we haven't connected, we're going to really learn and grow and progress together. So today, think about it. Take just a few minutes, go click on the Patreon page and become a supporter and a part of the team as we continue to help smart, ambitious women move forward, fill themselves up, and become their best so we can give more to the world. I really appreciate your support. You have made this show so wonderful. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening today. Remember, you can enrich your life and your bottom line. It starts with you. See you next time on Think Enriched with Amy Robles.